The legal profession is many ways, is many things. It is noble, it is important, but it is never easy. Never. There is no straight path to the profession. There are no guaranteed returns. The profession demands that you constantly prove yourself to the court, to your clients, to your peers, and often to yourself. It demands and it keeps demanding. You will be measured constantly, not by judges and clients, but often by your own inner voice. You will question your path. You will be questioned. You will be overlooked. You will feel invisible. And yet, you will keep showing up. Because that's what law demands. Your presence, your persistence, your belief. In those moments, you will also find flashes of clarity, purpose, and meaning. The journey of a lawyer has been aptly described by Thomas Grant, who wrote a book titled The Mandela Brief, Sidney Kentridge and the Trials of Apartheid, published in 2024. The book deals with the cases fought by Sidney Kentridge against apartheid in South Africa, including the treason trial of Nelson Mandela and the other leading members of the African National Congress. Grant wrote, and I quote, "Life as a barrister is arduous. It requires constant application and concentration. There are moments of stress, anxiety, even dread. It involves sacrifice of the evenings and weekends. Being an effective advocate requires not just stamina, but nimbleness. Every relevant fact in the case must be there at the forefront of your mind. Every document must be at your fingertips," unquote. Let me speak now of something we rarely speak of in such grand ceremonies: the mental health. This profession can be isolating and emotionally taxing. The hours are long, the expectations high. The culture sometimes ruthless. You will feel pressure, not just to succeed, but also to appear to be successful. Many hide their struggles. I urge you not to. Find your community. As a celebrated author, Bell Hook wrote, "Rarely, if ever, are any of us headed in isolation. Healing is an act of communion." So I urge you, share your fears. Furthermore, as Audre Lorde once said, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is a self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. In this profession, self-care is not a luxury. It's a strategy." But even mental health cannot be spoken of without recognizing the structural barriers that exist in our profession. Structural inequalities hides in silence. In the subtle comments, in the internship that never comes, in the doors that are hard to open. Let me quote a study here. In the United States, leading law professors conducted a joint study analyzing the careers of lawyers for over 20 years. Now published as a book titled The Making of Lawyers' Careers, Inequality and Opportunity in the American Legal Profession. It reveals, and I quote, "Where lawyers begin in practice is significantly influenced by law schools attended, and where lawyers begin their careers heavily shapes their later careers paths," unquote. This is also true of the current trade in India after the inception of globalization. A student from a national law school in a metro city may be seen as a better placed than one from a smaller university. Not necessarily because of skill, but because of perception. This is unfair, but it is real. We need to confront it, not to accept it. As Macmillan Gladwell, it reminds us, who we are cannot be separated from where we are from. And yet, the profession often tries to separate the two. But two things can keep young students from any college on a forward path in this struggle. The first is being grounded in the basics of law and being consistent in learning. Many of you will enter litigation, others academia, or civil society. Wherever you go, remember this. There is no shortcut to knowing the law. There is no alternative to knowing the basics as well. The Constitution, the Contract Act, the Code of Civil Procedure, the criminal law, and the other core subjects are not optional subjects. They are your daily bread. They are what allow you to argue with clarity, to advise with confidence, to teach with conviction, and to serve with integrity. At the same time, the law is changing fast with new emerging areas like artificial intelligence and data privacy. Of course, be cognizant of these latest developments, but keep your foundation strong. Because in the legal profession, the strongest minds are not those that chase every trend, but those who can explain a fundamental concept with clarity, precision, and insight, even years after law school. You don't need to be everywhere. You need to be solid where you are. Have faith in yourself, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote, "Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase." The second thing to be kept in mind is mentorship, to learn from the experience of others who have been there before you. As a profession, as demanding as the law, mentorship can be a game changer. Not everything can be found in books or judgments. Some lessons are passed on in conversation, in encouragement, in the gentle correction of the first draft, or in the reassurance after a difficult day in a court. Let me say this with honesty. I'm here today not just because I worked hard. Yes, efforts mattered, but so did the fact that someone opened a door for me. Someone saw something in me before I could see it in myself. That act of belief, of support, of sharing wisdom changed my life. And so, I appeal to all the seniors in this room, the lawyers, judges, professors, be that person. Be the one who writes a recommendation, who explains a case, who tells a young graduate that they belong even when the room says otherwise. Mentorship is not a favor, it is a responsibility. And to the graduates, seek mentors not for their power, but for their integrity. And one day, become mentors yourself. That is how we build not just careers, but a community of care within the profession. One that uplifts, not one that intimidates.